So internal locus of control, let's think about values over value. So if I go into a party and I'm worried about being valuable according to what? That by definition is based on a postulate that other people determine my value. But if I've already defined to myself what my values are, now I determine my own value because my value is based on my values. There was a situation where my buddy approached a girl in a group, and I was watching it, and he was actually seemed pretty comfortable with it. But it was a girl, and there was two or three guys, and then I think another girl. And as he was talking to the girl, the other guys are like exchanging glances and kind of like that kind of thing, the peanut gallery. And he's leaning over to this guy, like analyzing and critiquing, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up seeing that they went outside to smoke a cigarette. Him and the girl that my buddy was talking to, he came back to the table. It didn't really work out. I went outside. I saw they were smoking a cigarette. I felt like smoking a cigarette, so I went outside, bummed a cigarette off, and I'm standing there talking. And I'm talking to the guy. I say to the guy, I said something like, "You met my buddy earlier." He said, "Oh, he's with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that guy's like my brother." Values. Okay. I said, "I noticed you guys had the little peanut gallery going, huh?" He's like, "Oh, well, yeah, I said, "Yeah. Have you ever approached a girl that you didn't know?" "Oh, yeah, sure." And I said, "Oh, okay." And now this girl is looking at me like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I said, what'd you think of him? He's a good-looking guy, right? So yeah, but there was something he said that was kind of awkward. It was a little too awkward. And so then I said, well, and so now I'm talking to her now, and this guy disappears basically. He's not in the picture anymore. And I said, well, yeah, it's tough for a man because, as men, it's kind of we're expected to be the proactive ones. We're expected to approach, but when we do, not only is the woman kind of critiquing you, you got these other guys over here. Clearly, it's impossible to not notice that they're talking shit. And more than anything, as a man, I'm critiquing myself. And that's tough. But I think being confident or smooth takes a backseat to courage. So if you're afraid to do something, if you're afraid to do something, it's not a reason to not do it, is it? I said that to her, and she's like, "No, I never thought of it like that." I said, "Yeah." I just looked at her like, "Yeah, you know what the fuck I'm talking about now, right?" Changed everything. So by expressing values, and by the way, I'm not being super serious. I mean, in all these, I'm kind of like in lecture mode, right? But like in all these situations, I'm playing, I'm joking. And I got a smile on my face. And by expressing those values to her, a lot of stuff, loyalty, protective of my buddy, honesty, courage, fundamentally, Mr. Peanut Gallery fails my values test. Now he's out of the picture. So that's another example. I'm sure I have much better ones, but you guys can see how values trumps value. Value is about other people liking you. Values is about me liking myself. So me respecting myself, me feeling safe with myself, right? It's a real simple kind of funny way to think about that, and this is the way I think, I would rather jerk off and compromise my values to get pussy. All right? Very easy way to think about it. I would rather have no friends than try to make friends by impressing people. I would. Which, interestingly, leads to more pussy and more friends. Okay. Okay, let's get back to respect, safety, and anticipation with women. Deception fucks up all of these. This, again, is just a sort of guiding post to see where you were using deception. So if I look back at an interaction and I remember sort of the moment where, okay, we're talking, everything's fine. And then at some point, she seems like maybe she rolls her eyes or looks away like, yeah, okay. And then I can feel her energy pulling back and she's like, I got to go talk to my friends now. What did I say? What did I do there? So I can look back at that and say, okay, I lost respect. What did I do? So I can look for where are the times, if things didn't go the way I was hoping, and there's always going to be hope. There's always, this idea, and that's why you're talking with, right? What happened? Which one did I fuck up on? And what that will do is guide your memory back to a specific point. And then you can say, what did I say there? And was there deception there? And if not, it wasn't a thing in your control. But if you were using deception, maybe you were trying to say something clever, for example. You look at that and say, oh, I did that. A good chance you won't do it again. Or if you do it again, immediately as you do it, you'll be like, oh, doing it again. And you can shift gears. Now, will you shift gears fast enough? Maybe, maybe not. But just reflecting on this checklist and trying to figure out safety, did I touch her and she seemed to clench up? That's a safety issue. Anticipation. Is she not responding to my texts? Were we flirting a lot? And then I, tried to, maybe I said, let's get out of here. And she didn't do it. Maybe I tried to kiss her. A lot of times girls will turn their cheek, but it's a turning their cheek of, I'm not ready yet. And they'll still be there with you. But if she turns her cheek and it's like more than it, see, there's a difference between this and that, right? That is no anticipation. She's not responding to me on texts or phone calls. No anticipation. I didn't express enough sexuality, which really is not a thing I need to add. What I was actually doing was hiding my sexuality. Okay. So this is like a troubleshooting. Now, when you do this, pace. Pace is, so we'll talk about leadership. And by the way, I know we're talking a lot today. We're going to do some exercises today, but this is kind of like, day one is kind of like getting the big picture, getting the theory, and making sure you guys are understanding like where this is going. We're laying the groundwork, okay? Saturday and Sunday is going to be extremely exercise-based, interactive-based. And more tomorrow as well. Okay. So, the fundamental way to screw these up is when deception creeps in. Think about if you sense someone's lying to you, you can't respect that person. Now, this is interesting. See, there's it's not necessarily about what you're saying though. So I lie to girls all the time. I was hanging out with a girl last night, and I had made up some silly shit, but it was to play with her, it was to tease her. So, what did I say? I don't know. I make up shit all the time just to see what people say, right?
Yeah.
And that's not deception. Verbally, literally, I'm lying, right? But I'm expressing myself purely. I'm having fun. Okay? Deception really is not necessarily about verbally, literally what you're saying. It's about, are you trying to present an identity, a static identity? In other words, are you trying to be something that doesn't even exist? The fundamental deception is that I'm not good enough. Well, the fundamental deception is that I'm separate from y'all. I'm separate from being. By the way, this is really interesting. You guys are kind of like spiritually minded people. In the Old Testament, God, in the beginning, I can't remember the exact, do you know the exact word? In the beginning, something about God did something.
God created the earth and...
Okay, so God created the earth, blah, blah. In the actual Hebrew, the way it was originally written was Y-W-E-H. And it went right to left, so it would have been H-E-W-Y. Yahweh, right? Have you heard that word?
Mm-hmm.
Well, each symbol, each one of those letters is not so much like the English letters, but more like Mandarin, where each character represents some sort of action or some sort of concept. And what that means, there's different translations for it, but very straightforward word for it is being. So if we substitute God, which kind of the thought there, and it becomes a thought. Being almost like prevents you from having a thought. Being, what is that? How do we talk about being, right? You can't. So God is a dude out here. If he's out here, where am I? Right? I'm separate. Being, all of a sudden, I'm part of it. There was a conscious decision to put God out here so that we can have the priest, who's the middleman. We give him money, and then he talks to God for us. Well, with being, all of a sudden I'm being. You're being. Now you're not separate. We're raised with this brainwashing to think that we're separate. And this is not fundamental to human nature, because I know there's actually a tribe in Africa that Western anthropologists went out there to study them, and they share. Everything is sharing. They give up their food first before they eat it. And the anthropologist said, "Why do you guys do this? What if you starve, whatever?" And their answer was, "Well, how could I be happy if my neighbor is not happy? How could I starve if my brother? How could I eat if my brother's not eating? If my brother's suffering, I'm suffering." So you can see that it depends on how you're raised, the cultural conditioning. We don't necessarily have to see things that way. We're raised with this idea that it's static, and there's this and then there's that. God's over here and I'm over here. Well, being changes all that. Why don't we say being anymore? It's big business. God is big business. So deception. Oh, the fundamental deception is that I'm separate. And the fundamental another way to think about that is fundamental deception is reality is static. I am an identity, and that's who I am. Reality is your process. You're different than you were 5 seconds ago, right? What's the same though? This. What is that? It's the eye. It's how the eye looks at its own head. Okay? It's non-local, non-specific, pure awareness. So with separation, the next step is, well, how do I join the world? How do I be good enough? Very real, sort of real world example of that is you walk into a room and the other people are in there and you perceive them as a club or a group and you need to somehow fit in or be a part of that. Bars, especially high-end places, nightclubs, lounges, are designed to intimidate you, make you feel like you're walking into an exclusive club. Oh, I'm nervous. Time for drinks. It's big business. Separation is big business. God is big business. That's a very real example of how this manifests in our sex lives, in our social lives. Okay. So the deception is, how do I be good enough to join the world? How can I be part of everything? See how it's a deception? It's wrong. So being good enough. So you deceive yourself thinking you're not good enough. You see the woman, you gotta try to convince her that you're good enough, all the while not believing it. When you lie to people, you kill respect. You kill safety. If someone's lying to me, I don't feel safe with them, even if it's a woman. What's she gonna do? Try to rob me if I look away for 10 seconds? Deception. Now, here's this is the interesting thing about anticipation. If you're using deception, people don't believe they're going to get any benefit out of it. Women need to feel like they're going to have fun with you and get sex from you, get good sex from you. Okay. When you use deception, basically what you're saying is, I could maybe tell you all the awesome things about me and maybe try to convince you that I'm sexual and that I'm good in bed or whatever. But if she senses this, she won't believe it. She has no reason to talk to you any further. The cool thing is with women, you could say it's cool or it's frustrating, depending on the perspective, is that women are radars for deception expressed through someone with a male energy, a masculine energy. Women are hardwired for this, and then not only are they hardwired for this, but then they cultivate it even further because women are constantly deceiving each other. The social terrorism that happens among women from age, I don't know, three all the way through school. It's a lot of this. And with men, there's risk involved. She has sex. Okay, so she is on alert for this. Now, she's hardwired to see that. She's been practicing seeing that for a long time with the best of the best. And then here you come. And not only that, but there's also potential risk involved. Biologically, that sense that she could potentially get pregnant and now she's in trouble if you disappear or whatever. So women are actually an opportunity to get rid of this, or to reduce it. It never goes away. That's your life. The fundamental, the number one regret that men have on their deathbed. This is actually a research that was done where they asked them, is I wish I had lived my life more according to what I wanted rather than what everyone else wanted. Trying to be good enough, fundamental deception. I'm not good enough. What I want versus what I think other people want. So I'm deceiving everyone else as well. Sure, mom and dad, I'll go to law school. you know? That's a deception. That's a life deception, okay? Living a life according to what I want is self-leadership. You're leading yourself, internal locus of control. So leadership starts with you. Oh, let me back up. Look at these words: respect, safety, anticipation. We got leadership over here. Where's seduction or attraction? Where's game?
In deception.
Well, yeah, exactly. I didn't use any of those words. That's not what's happening. If you look at the definition of attraction, it is completely not only non-functional, but I would say dysfunctional when it comes to understanding how to connect with women. Seduction comes from the Latin, which is seducere. And seducere went from being used in the Latin to about 15th century, where it started being used in the English language. It got modified, seduction, right? So, and what seducere means is to lead astray or to lead away from one's duty. So when we're seducing a woman, what we're trying to do is get her to do something she shouldn't. All right? That's why seduction, it's funny. The two common, most mainstream dating advices: impress, be confident. Confidence isn't real. You can't stand here, there's the woman, all right, be confident. Or try to look confident, right? That's what it really is. You're not, because you can't be confident. When we think about examples of confidence, again, Michael Jordan, right? He looks like he knows the ball's going to go in, but does he? No. Focused on the task right now. Okay. Even James Bond, completely made up character, but James Bond is a risk taker. If you read the novels, you see he doesn't know what's going to happen. In fact, it's his comfort with not knowing what's going to happen that makes him so much more effective than everyone else. He'll take the risk that everyone's scared to take. The SAS, Special Air Service, which is the British Special Forces, I think it's either fortune favors the bold or the bold, something about the bold are the victors or something like that. Again, being the one who's willing to take the risk that no one else is willing to take. Focus, task, moment to moment. James Bond is focused moment to moment. He looks smooth, he looks cool, but is he? Is he confident? Does he know what's going to happen? He plays by his own rules. He has his own rules and he follows them. Right? And one of his rules or his values comes from his SAS training. Well, probably comes from him, period. That's why he thrived in that environment. So we can see this everywhere. So like I said, seduction, attraction, pickup, none of that's on this board. What are we really doing with women? Remember I said that with women, this is the one thing they're looking to screen out. All right? Women talk about guys trying hard, guys being corny, sleazy, nice line. They are on fucking guard for that shit. You see? Leadership. That's what women respond to. All right? Interestingly, when you're at your best, you're a leader. And if there's no one else around, you're a leader yourself. In fact, you're always a leader yourself. But when you're interacting with other people, leadership, okay? What does leadership mean with other people? It means team building. Now, if we're in a work environment, there's clear objectives, right? We want a good performance out of people. In a social situation, what's the objective? And what's a good performance?
Getting everybody to like you.
No, that's a bad performance.
But that's like what you're trying to do.
Not with leadership.
Well, yeah, but like not doing everything that you're teaching.
You're saying that that's not leadership, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So team building, if we think about a social situation, you're building your life team. All right. I'm always thinking about that. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do business together. It means I want you in my life. There's some value I'm getting. There's some benefit I'm getting from having you around. But it could just be laughs, right? It could be good conversation. So team building, you're always building your life team. Now say on your team at the shop at Lowe's or whatever, a good performance is, work hard, get everything sorted and all that. With the life team, a good performance is a non-performance. Think about poker versus Uno. Poker, we want to get points. Uno, we want to get rid of them. Okay. So what's a good performance when you're building your life team in a social situation? What performance do you want to get out of the members of your team? What would be a good performance?
Depends on your values, isn't it?
It depends on your values. That's a really good point. Let's think about tryouts. You hold tryouts. You hold the tryouts, and we see how each, what's the word? I won't say applicant, but each contestant or whatever. We observe them and we see who we want on the team, right? Once they're on the team, we give them playing time. We give them more attention, more time. We give them more time. We give them more time. Time and attention are the same thing, right? Your attention, that only happens in time. That's the human condition. The fundamental human condition is time. Okay? You can only tell the story backwards. We can't see the next thing. So with time, why do you give someone your time? Why would you give someone your time?
Because they're interesting, because they're fun to be around.
Now,
Or are you talking about what character traits they would possess that would...
no, yeah, that. But think about this. What would make someone fun to be around?
Oh, they'd have to be comfortable with being themselves around. Yeah. That would be really important.
So lack of deception.
Yeah.
So lack of performance, really. Uno.
Yeah.
So what you want from people in terms of deciding to build your team and to see who gets playing time, right, is you want them to be themselves. You want them to be authentic. So when we're building our life team, the performance we want is authentic expression from others. We want them to be themselves. This is another common dating advice axiom. Well, axioms are supposed to be true, right? Conventional wisdom says, just be yourself. Immediately, that means avoid discomfort. That means, well, what is myself? It's a static idea. It's this preconceived, it's this concept that comes from all the movies and all the people and all the bullshit that I've lumped into who I'm supposed to be. And instead of And the other thing it does, that advice does, is it completely takes your focus on what you should be doing, which is helping other people be themselves. I always say, when I'm like, if I'm meeting people, if I'm at a party or something, I tell them what I do. I say, okay, Mr. Expert, what's what's the fundamental, like, what's the basic piece of advice, or what's the first thing you would tell me? And I kind of meet them where they're at, because we all heard the confidence thing, right? So I say, instead of trying to be confident or trying to look confident, help others feel confident. Huge paradigm shift. So we can see how the normal mainstream dating advice really steers us wrong. We can also see how the sort of pickup artist seduction stuff steers us wrong. In both situations, if you're being, you're just an average nice guy, you're going the old route of like dating, or you're, a pickup artist, you're trying to seduce, which is really just dating minus the money and the time, right? If you want to make it happen fast and save some money, right? It's just cheap dating, basically. It's cheap courtship. And I'll get into courtship in a second, but in both cases, you're using deception. Think about how fucked up that is. The advice that men get, whether it's mainstream or advanced, sneaky pickup stuff, is actually the worst thing you should do. Is actually advice that will hurt you or prevent success. Very ironic, right? All comes from the fundamental deception that you're separate. Very hard to see outside the box if you're raised that way. Okay,